Hi everyone, my name is Christy and welcome to day 360 of trying a new makeup product every day. Today I'm going to be trying out this Ulta Beauty Super Blender sponge that I have here. And when it comes to makeup tools, my favorite tool to use is a sponge. I've tried out a few different sponges on my channel so far, but I just love trying them out and finding out which ones are good, which ones are terrible, because my makeup sponge journey started out with the Beauty Blender, which is the most expensive sponge that I've ever used. It's $20, but I've been able to find a lot of sponges for a fraction of the price that I love, such as the Real Techniques sponge, the AOA Studio sponge, which if you want to see my review on both of those sponges, I will link those videos down below. But so this sponge here from Ulta, which I love the brand Ulta Beauty, so hopefully I'll like this sponge, but this is only $4.99, and Ulta Beauty is usually doing sales or they have coupons, so even that $4.99 low price point can probably be even lower a lot of the time. And this does have a pretty high rating on the Ulta website. I didn't wet it yet because it says to get full coverage to apply your product with it dry. So I wanted to try applying my foundation with one side using the dry sponge and the other side using a dampened sponge. So we'll start out with the dry product. Okay, so from first feel, it seems nice. It's not super light, airy. It is kind of like a dense material, but it is soft. I never use my makeup sponges dry, so I'm very interested to see if this technique is going to look good. The foundation that I'm going to use is the Femme Couture Rosé All Day Foundation, which I've been using for a long time and I've talked about many times as being one of my favorite foundations. So I like to try out the sponge using a foundation that I know how it looks on my skin, that I like, so I'll actually be able to tell how the tool is actually working because I know how it applies with other tools. But so I'm just going to take a little bit on the back of my hand and let's see how it applies. I feel like I've never seen anyone else use this foundation before, but I love it. I think that it's so perfect on the skin. So if you haven't tried this foundation out, I definitely recommend it. Check out my video. And this is actually applying really easily and really beautifully with the dry sponge. I'm surprised by how easy it is to work with. So I did take a full pump on the back of my hand and I was able to cover my entire half of my face, but it did get very thin. It could only go on as a very thin layer, and you can see the sponge here. It does appear to have a lot of product in it, so I'm wondering if when it's dry it absorbs more product and therefore wastes more product. So we'll see how far just one pump will go when I use the sponge dampened on the other half of my face. But the foundation does look good. It's not super full coverage, and I wonder if that is because I need to apply more product. I'm trying to think if I should go in with more now while it's dry and build up that coverage, or go in with it wet, compare one pump to each side. Okay, yeah, that's what I'm gonna do. I'm not gonna go in with any more product just so that we can compare the coverage of it dry versus wet. So I'm gonna go dampen this and I'll be right back. Okay, so here is the sponge dampened, and you can see that it did get bigger. Also, I tried really hard to get the foundation out of the sponge using soap, and it was really hard to get the product out of it. And with a lot of my other sponges, especially the Real Techniques sponge, it's a lot easier to get those kind of foundation stains out of the Beauty sponge, so that's kind of a pain when it's really hard to clean it. But so it does feel nice, good squishiness to it. It does still feel kind of like a dense foam, like more dense than the Beauty Blender by far. The Beauty Blender I consider to be much more of an airy sponge, but this one is more solid, dense. So now let's see how the foundation applies to this side of my face with it. So once again, taking one full pump onto the back of my hand. Also, look at how beautiful this foundation is. Like my skin without it, my skin with it, and just like a very thin layer. Looks so good. I love this foundation. It really just like looks like there's nothing on my skin, so that's great. But so anyways, back to the sponge. It really like, it just bounces so much more now than it did when it was dry, and therefore I feel like I'm applying it a lot faster too. Wow, yeah, this is working so beautifully. Like the product is blending out so nicely, so evenly, just the same as it does with my other favorite sponges. Okay, so now my foundation is applied. One pump on this side applied dry, one pump on this side applied damp, and in my opinion, you cannot tell the difference. I definitely felt like using the dampened sponge made the product go further. Like I felt like I had more product to spare and cover my entire side of my face with than I did when I applied it dry. And so then here is what the sponge looks like after applying it with it damp. And I mean, the amount of product it looks like that the sponge has on it now does look basically the same as it did when it was dry. I'm thinking maybe just not quite as much on it now as it did when it was dry. But as far as that full coverage with it dry versus sheer coverage with it wet, I would not say that that's true, because both sides look like the exact same amount of coverage and both sides look so natural, even, beautifully blended, and I did it so easily. So I think that this is a great sponge that I'm so excited to continue using. And I'm glad that I did that dry versus wet test, because I think that they look the same. I personally like to apply it wet better, just because it does feel like your product goes further. I can apply it a lot quicker. But this is great to know, because say I wanted to just touch up my makeup or apply my makeup in a place where I couldn't dampen the sponge before using it, I could still use the sponge the same, no problem, still get beautiful blended coverage. So yay, now I have found another very affordable but great makeup sponge. If you're looking for a replacement to your beauty blender, or if you're looking to try a makeup sponge, I definitely say try out this Ulta Beauty Super Blender, because it definitely has my approval. And I'm pretty picky when it comes to sponges. I've tried out quite a few, so there you have it. I would love to know in the comments down below what your favorite makeup sponges are. And if there are any that you love that I haven't tried yet, I will hopefully be able to try those out in future videos, because I think trying out sponges is a really fun review and test to do. Thank you so much for watching my video today. Be sure to like, comment, and subscribe to my channel so you can see the makeup that I try every day, and I will see you tomorrow in my next video.